What's up, you guys? So today I'm just gonna do a quick video. I had a client ask me recently if I found love after my divorce. This is a client that knew me personally, one that was sent to me by God. It had to be. So I wanted to get on here on my page and be a little transparent. Yes, I did. I did find love after marriage, but if you didn't catch my video yesterday, where I talked about you making sure that you're ready and you making sure that everything on the inside is right with you, or you can mess it up. That's the reason why I said that. It was a learning experience. Truly, it was. That person meant the world to me. But the truth of the matter was I was not ready. I was not ready for a relationship. And one of the things that I noticed about myself was the fact that if, one thing about social media, I feel for these stars. Because when the infidelity comes out, it gets publicized to the world. That's so humiliating. I had that experience in my divorce. When I found out that my ex-husband was cheating, I found out that he had a girlfriend. I found all that out on the internet. It was the most humiliating situation in the world. So one of the things in my past that I'm not a big fan of, I'm not a big fan of connecting who I was dating, or we don't even got to connect. And one of the issues that was brought up in my dating was, the man I was, not necessarily this dude, but other men, they wanted to be, my Monday crush Monday or whatever, however y'all do that kind of stuff. And for me, I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to be humiliated on social media. Another thing for me that was a struggle with that person that I was dating. I dated him for almost a year. The only man that had ever seen my family or has ever been introduced to my family was my ex-husband. I don't bring men around my children. So it was very difficult for me, being that he did have kids. He did have kids. And so I was always around his kids. He knew my kids, but he was not around my kids as much as I was around his kids. And that bothered him. But it was my fear of not wanting to. My children knew him prior to us dating, and I didn't want, if we weren't going to work out, that my children, another relationship ruined because me and a situation didn't work out. So, and then I didn't want my kids to get attached to somebody that I was not 100% sure was always going to be there. And I was afraid. I was afraid because I wasn't sure. I wasn't even sure if I loved that person. But the question was, could I live with some of his personality traits? Could I deal with a big thing for me is baby mama drama and baby daddy drama. I am very fortunate to not have the extent, because I don't. I have a lot of boundaries in place with my ex-husband, so it's not to where, back then it was very difficult. Again, my divorce was just fresh, so there was things that I was learning about through my divorce on how me and my ex-husband were to interact with each other. And my ex-husband is and was very toxic. So one of the boundaries that I had in place was that they would never meet, because I know how my ex-husband is. So I would never bring any drama to this I would never bring any drama to any man that's in my life. And that's the reason why there's boundaries and courts and such things that are put in place for that reason. But his situation was not the same. And I had to ask myself, with is that something on his side that I can deal with? But the sad part about it was he was able to deal with everything on my side, but that was one thing that one of his relationships with his youngest son's mother bothered me. So that was another thing. I just didn't trust I realized that my trust issues was not completely as healed as though I thought. And I just couldn't do it. And as much as I loved a person, it just refrained me from wanting to be their girlfriend for it to progress any farther. It was something in me that I recognized that I still had a problem with. It's not that I didn't trust him. I just didn't like their interaction and how the things that they did when it came to co-parenting their son. I just thought it was a little weird. But the hardest thing with people with children is you can't tell them. I mean, you can express and you can't really express. That's a little difficult because it's like it's a children's father, it's a children's mother. So you're just hoping and praying that they have rules and such things in place. But for me, I didn't have that type of problem. I worked. For me, I'm an amazing child's mother. I got along with my ex-husband's girlfriend at the time. We did the co-parenting together. She picked up the kids. I never had to speak to my ex-husband. I never had to deal with my ex-husband. So, and the thought process is like, why can't this situation be easy like mine? Like y'all weren't even together that long, nor were y'all married. But I had to learn that, not everybody's situation is the same. Not everybody has that blessed situation that I had. So that played a major role. The biggest factor, again, like I said, was I didn't necessarily bring him around my family. I was afraid. I was afraid. I'm old school. I'm the type of person that you're not bringing everybody to meet your mom. I don't even really bring friends, like the friends that know her, friends that have known her for years. I don't really bring people around my family. So for me, that bothered him. I knew his entire family. I was always with his family. I was always with his children. That bothered him a lot. But the truth was, I was afraid. I was afraid of bringing somebody new. I was afraid of it not working out. And, my family, once you introduce somebody in my family, their family, they ain't going nowhere. And I was scared. I was afraid. And I was very hurt. When that relationship was very hurt. I was very hurt. I actually didn't date seriously. There's a difference, you guys. There's seriously dating, and then there's just casually dating. You're having fun. It's not even casually dating. You're in the streets, so they call it. And you're just living life. So I have not seriously dated since him. I have not seriously dated since him. I actually just focused more on me because, again, like I said, I realized that you got to be all in. It's either going to be all in with somebody or you're not going to be all in with somebody. And for me, I was afraid to be all in. I was one of those type of people that had one foot in and one foot out. And I get easily annoyed and I lose interest, But when I'm in a relationship, I got one foot in, but I'm supporting you. I'm uplifting you. I'm encouraging you. All of that. But what my problem was that I was a one foot in, one foot out. I am a woman that had to pay a divorce settlement. I had to give my ex-husband money. I had to write him a check. That hurt. So for me, like it was when in my dating, it was like, you got to make the same amount of money that I do, or you got to make more, because that way, I'm not the only one. Should something happen or this not work out, And not that I'm assuming, but I'm divorced, so I'm going to be open and honest. You're more likely to change your thought, because when I looked at everything I was losing in my divorce, it made me think like, cheaper to keep him. Um, and I thank God though that I didn't have more, but so now after that, again, I dated that man for a year. We did not have a title. Again, we didn't have a title because again, I was afraid. I know me in a relationship. I love hard. I love so hard. I love hard. I'm so giving. I'm so compassionate. Um, I'm just a lot, and a lot of things that God has showed me that I failed in my marriage. I am now. I'm compassionate. One of the things that I was not when I dated him, it took me a while to be very. He taught me how to be the guy that I dated. He taught me how to be transparent and not and just being direct, saying what you want, being transparent, being direct, and not beating around the bush on how you feel. I'm more direct and upfront. I'm going to tell you what I want, what I don't want. And I mean, you either kind of deal with it or you don't. One of the things now that I was not with him and I regret it is I wasn't affectionate with my ex-husband and I wasn't affectionate with him either. I kind of always wasn't. I was always unsure. And because I believed, the old thought process is to show somebody affection, you got to be in a relationship with them. And that's not necessarily true. I grew up on survival. I did not grow up in a loving home. I grew up in a survival home. So hugging and all that kind of stuff, that was not what was showed to me. I had to learn that on my own. I had to learn that after my divorce. I had to learn to give more hugs and kisses and read a book on touching and just those type of contacts and how that's important to where I am that way now. Also, I saw vulnerability. I saw tears as a sign of weakness. I saw those type of emotions as a sign of weakness that can be used against you. And what I'm grateful for is that I was able with him, I was able to meet somebody that showed me that telling somebody how you feel, there's nothing wrong with that. They could take it out or they could leave it. And you're just being upfront and honest with them. And now that's, I tell people how I feel. If you make me feel good, I tell them you make me feel good. You make me feel terrible, I tell people you make me feel terrible. I'm more expressive of my feelings. But do I believe that I will ever find that love again? Yes. One thing I respect the most is someone telling me, because it's a stigma like, oh, you're a woman with kids and all that kind of stuff. I have met men that don't mind that I have kids, and then I have met men that have upfront told me, a woman with kids is not my ideal situation, and I'm very grateful that they were upfront and honest that was not their ideal situation. Will I not settle? I have learned, before my ex-husband and I got a divorce, we were separated for years, but we lived in the same house, which is the worst thing you could possibly ever do. We lived in the same house, so I was alone for years. And so one thing I've learned to build a business. I've learned to date myself. I've learned to travel the world by myself. I've learned hobbies and things that I love to do, and I don't mind doing them by myself. So it's allowed me the opportunity to get to know me and not settle in a situation that is not for me, or not settle in a situation that was not for me, or with a person that was not for me. Like I said, the guy I dated him for a year, and I'm very grateful that I got that opportunity to, because one thing that I'm again that people go through after a relationship is the other person trying to make it seem like nobody will ever love you, nobody will ever want you, or nobody will ever you're just trash, and it's never gonna happen. And when you finally find love, and it's beautiful, and it's everything that you ever imagined, it's a beautiful thing, and it's possible. It's possible. It's very possible. So I was very grateful to God that He showed me that I was able to love again. I was able to see my flaws. I was able to see what I can do and what I can't do, and what I still have to work on, so that the next person, the next man that I fall in love with, I'll be ready and I won't mess it up. And so I just want, for those of you guys that's thinking like, oh, it's not possible, or, oh, this will never happen, so I have to stay in this situation. It might not come right away, but I do promise you it's coming. I chose to be after him. I chose to be celibate. I chose to not date. I chose to not do anything for 2 years. I chose it. Because I was hurt. I was more hurt from that than I was in my divorce. But I told myself, you're more hurt because you couldn't fix it. And, but at the same time, the truth of the matter was, did you want to fix it? Because your non-negotiables was your non-negotiables. You weren't going to do anything. You don't know if those situations would have changed with the baby mama. You don't know any of that. But the truth was, were you willing to wait and find out, or you were just going to suffer in silence? And the thing was like, no, I didn't want to suffer in silence. And I wanted him to be happy. And so, again, like I said, is it possible? Yes. Am I waiting? Yes. Do I have somebody in mind? Yes. But again, I'm all about God's timing and who God has for me. And every man I date, I pray over him, and I ask God, if he's meant for me, you'll make it right. You'll make it plain. If he's not, you'll take him away. And you'll be surprised how many men God has taken and removed out of my life. So many. So, ladies, keep hope alive. He's out there. And I hope this has inspired anybody, because again, I am a single mother with 5 kids. My coaching client that asked me this question, she was a single mom with 1 kid. So clearly you can see the amount of kids difference. And was that guy a quality man? Yes, he was a high value man. Very much a high value man. Very much a high value man. I have nothing negative to say about him. Are we friends? I think because people are nosy. No, we're not friends. I'm immature. I don't believe in I can't do it. I couldn't do it. And the reason, let me tell you the reason why. I'm going to be very honest and transparent. You have those people, and when you're in a relationship, and your significant other, they have friends and stuff, and there's certain people that you can trust around your significant other, and there's certain people that you can't. And I wanted whoever I am in the future to be able to trust me. But I knew if I would have dated anybody during those times, I had to come to a realization that if I was dating somebody and I got in a relationship with somebody, could they trust me around him? Can they trust our friendship? And my answer to myself was no. I did not believe I could trust myself, And so I decided that, he's the type of person that, he's friends with all of his, whether he dated them, whether it was a situationship, friends, whatever, they're all still a part of his life. But I knew me, and I wanted to move forward and be in a relationship with somebody, but I could not see myself trying to move forward, but I'm still constantly around the man that I was in love with. In that aspect of us just hanging out and just doing whatever, I had to be truthful and honest that I couldn't do it. And I didn't date anybody because I didn't date anybody or get in a relationship with anybody during that time, because the truth of the matter was I wouldn't have been able to trust in myself that to say, oh, nothing's going to happen between you and that person. I couldn't trust myself to say, oh yeah, you ain't got nothing to worry about. Nothing's going to happen between me and that person. I didn't want to be, I'm not a cheater. I've never been a cheater, but I didn't want to hurt nobody without me fully knowing that information. So I just didn't do it. But again, that's more recognizing more getting to know you and saying, what am I capable of doing and what am I not capable of doing? What do I still have to work on, and what does God still need to reveal to me? And just being upfront and honest and dealing with the demons and looking at yourself in the mirror and fixing it. Looking in the mirror and fixing it. Do I recently, as of today, care about somebody? Yes, very much. Am I in a relationship with this person? No. But would I like to be? Yes, but I'm also getting to know this person and taking it very slow. One of the things that I'm very proud about myself is the fact that he's been around my family, and I'm like, okay, it's baby steps. Baby steps. It's baby steps. But I just want to tell you guys that yes, it's possible. Yes, I have found love. Again, my mistakes was I wasn't ready. I still had things on the inside. Now I'm ready. Now I recognize, communication. Validation. That's I'm the type of person that my actions should say that I love you, but I do know that some people like to hear words. One of the biggest things that I learned through my divorce, that I learned to prepare me for the world, was everybody's love language is so different. Everybody's definition of support is different. Everybody's definition of how they like to be shown love is different. So it's just communicating with that person on how they like to be loved, how they like to be shown support, and just how they do things. Not everybody does things the same. Everybody's different people. Not everybody loves the same. Not everybody cares the same. So it's just really you just getting to know that person and how they operate. So that's basically now what I'm honing in on in my life, is just not even just of my partners, but my family and my kids. It's just like, how is it that they want to be loved? How is it that they want to be touched? Because that's all different. That's all important. But again, so I don't get off track, back to, is love after a divorce or a heartbreak? It's so possible. Just take your time. Don't rush it. Take your time. You guys enjoy the rest of your day.